Good afternoon, E-mini Minders. This is Trader Tim from E-mini Mind doing a trade recap video for the 2nd of December 2019. Next week I will be holding the live masterclass, which would be Monday evening Eastern Time, and I've got 2 spots left, and I've got an opportunity to get a copy of the recording. We're doing a one on the class followed by a one-on-one, so I kind of limited the spots so that we can have a good discussion during the course or the class, and then be able to do a short session one-on-one in the weeks following. So if you want to be one of those last 2 spots, shoot me an email, tim@eminimind.com, or if you just want to get a copy of the recording and do a one-off session with that, shoot me an email as well. We've got a lot of good things happening in the markets here, especially with today's pullback. The pattern that we've been seeing, as we've talked about in the last couple of videos, has been to gap up, move sideways to down, fill that gap, and then as soon as we fill that gap, to then rally and gap up again and kind of repeat the pattern. So we have these gaps, pull back, fill the gap, rally, pull back, fill the gap, rally. Same thing here, gap up. This one was a little bit of a rally or continued rally, pull back, fill the gap, and then continue up. Today's sell-off, we pulled back to the unfilled gap and got a little bit of a lift. And so tomorrow, we'll be looking for more sort of a continuation of that pattern. And the reason this is good is because we have a pretty clear pattern defined. So if we don't rally this week, if we come down and break my threshold, the line in the sand that I have drawn is the swing low at 30.75. If we come down and break that, then the trend or that pattern is definitively over, and I will look for a potential short, halfway back short on the daily chart. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the uptrend is over, but we have to come all the way back here to the beginning of October to really get a full halfway back down at the 3,000 mark. So, what that means is we could have a short-term pullback, no big deal, but still be in the context of an uptrend. So there's opportunities to maybe take some short-term swing trades to the downside and ride that into the longer term, bigger picture uptrend. So we'll see if that materializes or not. We've got 3 weeks until, 3 full weeks of trading left really for the year. And we typically see a rally into the Christmas holiday. So we'll see what we get if that holds true. Now today was, we didn't gap down today, but we did move lower in a fashion that was a little bit difficult to get into. Because we didn't gap, I didn't take any 5-minute short. But so as we sold off pretty hard right in the first 10 minutes and then flattened out a little bit coming out of that like 15-20 minute mark. And when I saw us only break lows by a tick here, 2 ticks, we broke here was the prior low, and then 15 minutes was about here, and then a few minutes later we broke that low by just a couple of ticks and then bounced. And so it didn't give me a whole lot of at least signaling that we were going to continue to the downside. The unfilled gap was a 31.1175. So that was still quite a ways away. And then once we rolled over, I went to look for a short drawn to this effect, but didn't quite get filled. So I didn't get to ride the move down, but once we did come down towards lows, well, let me rephrase that. We were making lows on the day, and we started to get these low ticks on the NYSE tick. And whenever you have a trend day, you'll typically see a low NYSE tick that lines up with low price, and then immediately is followed by a lower price. So the low tick of the day and the low price of the day don't quite line up. They line up for maybe a couple of seconds, and then they move down. So in this move down, and this was happening pretty fast. I mean, by 8 o'clock, we were all the way down to 31.20 or so. And that was just the first 30 minutes. So at that point, looking at the gap fill as my target to take a long around 31.12 is kind of where I put my focus. And so we did get a low tick here at 8:02s my time, 32 minutes after the open, and then we met another low tick down here at 8:05s. But I chose not to take those two because, like I just said, you'll typically on a trend day get a low tick that lines up with lows, and then we continue lower. So the first one, that's exactly what happened. We got the low tick, and then not less than a minute later, we were followed that with a rollover. And because the gap fill was sort of coming into sight, we were within 10 points, and we'd already moved about 20. I was looking for that 31.12s to complete. So we got that little bit of a lift on this bounce, and taking this long was totally fine. I mean, it was a low ticket lows. We broke the swing high here, pulled back to the 50 beautifully, 31.1850, and then simply trailing the stop on the way up, taking out up here. But the real I guess completed fill that I felt like was the 31.12, and that happened about 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later. And this one, same thing. We ended up with a low tick that lined up with low price. It was just about a minus 1,000, so all things were great there. I chose to ignore the high to low because we had completed the gap and put in the low tick. So it was like, two check marks on the bullish column, one check mark on the bearish column. So I weighted the bullish more. And then 31.1375 was the entry. And then same thing, just, as we make a new high, let the market pull back. And then when we make another new high, bring the stop up. And then new high, pull back. This one was, it's nice when they do this, when we get a little bit, we get a push up, and then just a couple tick pullback, and then a new high, because it means you can bring your stop up and kind of lock in that run near highs. And so it went all the way up to 31.20 before getting kicked out. So about a 6-pointer, and that was really it. Wasn't able to get in on the move down early, so kind of switch gears and look for the sort of counter trend play is typically my MO for those situations. So tomorrow morning is Tuesday, which means another live trading session. And if you have questions throughout the week, you can always reach me, tim@eminimind.com. Feel free to leave your questions below as well, and I will answer them in the comments. Thanks a lot, and have a great week of trading.